What's going on, everybody? Mezariah here, and I'm back with another video. This video is going to be a little bit different because a lot of people are kind of have been following my page and they've been commenting and talking about Destiny Swap, and I want you guys to get familiar with other facets of this channel. And I spoke on something yesterday on my TikTok, and I was just talking about something really important with the earthquakes that are happening, everything that's going on in the world. And before we get into this video, please like, subscribe, comment, share this video. If you want to warn someone, if you want to help somebody understand the things to come in this world, the things that are happening, if you want them to be privy to these things, help them understand, share these videos, share the content that you feel is needed for them to see. And if it's easy for them to digest or however. But I wanted to put our attention on the earthquakes that's going on in the world right now. It's really interesting when you start seeing patterns, when you start seeing warnings. All throughout my life, God has always showed me warning before destruction. He has always showed me the things that were coming before something major happens, right? And he always gives some type of foreshadowing. And a lot of people, like we did in the days of Noah, we didn't pay attention to certain things. We didn't pay attention to the warnings that we were given, and we were given so much grace back in those times. But we didn't realize, we didn't listen, and we still don't listen to this day. And history has a funny way of repeating itself. There's nothing new under the sun. And God said that it would be like the days of Noah. People would be partying, dancing, marrying, doing all these different things, and we are in a big season of judgment, right? And the way you perceive judgment is however way you perceive it. Well, it's only one way to perceive it, but there are so many factors that come with judgment and how God does judgment, how he executes judgment. But when you see certain things like earthquakes being reported at a alarming rate, I don't know if this is just me or a few other people, but I've been seeing a lot of updates on earthquakes like never before, and I think that's really interesting. And when God does this, he does this for a reason. When he puts it in our face, he has ultimate control of the media. He has control over everything. If he wants us to see it, he wants us to see it. And it's really crazy to witness, because when I understand the language of God, and he speaks in patterns, and he's constantly warning, he will give you the signs, he will show you signs, or he'll give you prophetic people, prophets that speak and know that what things are coming and the things that are coming. And we tend to not take it as serious because we are so egotistical as people, right? And for this country, America, right, we have a certain pride in this country. We feel like we can take on anything. We feel like that we can't be humbled. And I feel like we're sadly mistaken. We are sadly mistaken to think that something big can't happen to us. Now, we've been talking about this earthquake in California that was supposed to happen for a long time. And I know spiritual people know. People that have dreams, that have visions, that talk to God, they understand that this earthquake is going to be a part of God's wrath. And this is something that's going to happen. It's bound to happen, right? And this is biblical. This is scriptural. This is in scripture. And when you see all these earthquakes coming and all these earthquakes happening and being reported on, that is very indicative of something bigger coming. Everything is spiritual and literal, figurative and literal at the same time. God is trying to shake us. He's trying to wake us up, trying to warn us. He's saying that this world, this country, this part of the world in particular, is not living right, and we're not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. We're not as holy as we think we are. We are very rebellious in this country, and things are coming to make a shift. And when you see these signs of constant earthquakes, being updated about early earthquakes, you should take it very seriously. You should be taking it very seriously, simply because that means it's only a bigger one that's going to come. Now, when that bigger one comes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't have dates about anything. I do consider myself to be prophetic simply because I do have dreams. God tells us that He would pour His Spirit among all His children, and they would have dreams and visions. And we tend to forget stuff like that. We have gifts. We have spiritual gifts. These are people that literally see into the future, like myself. I dream every night, and we have people that understand the implications of why stuff like this happens, and why it's going to happen, and why it's long overdue. Because we have gone a long time without repenting. We have gone a long time without doing the right things. And we look at the stories of like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? When they got destroyed, right? A lot of people think Sodom and Gomorrah just got destroyed for sexual perversion, which was one of the main parts. Why? Because sex itself is ritualistic. But it was also another reason, and that reason was for them being uncharitable. And America is known for being uncharitable, or hiding behind a mask of being charitable, and they really not charitable. If you saw in DC weeks ago, they were oppressing the poor in such a way that was so displeasing to Yah that my jaw dropped, and that confirmed to me that this country, is headed for great disaster, because the fact that DC is the capital of America, and that capital represents America, and that is very indicative of the country as a whole being uncharitable, and it's going to cause great distress on us. And the way we have been plummeting for years and years and years since COVID, America has been going downhill. The whole world has really been going downhill, but it's very obvious since COVID that America is declining. It's been going down way before COVID, but it's way more obvious since COVID started. And that's another story. But my point is, there are so many things that are attributed to why the things that are happening in this country. You know, the economy is bad. The things that are happening around the world is so beyond us that we don't even realize. We're not really understanding the things that we have done, the sins that we have committed, not just individually, but as this country as a whole. The head of this country, they have done wicked things. They have done unfathomable things to other countries. They have stolen resources, stolen land, stolen identity, stolen everything, done everything to every part of the world. And the judgment of this country is long overdue. And for you to really digest something like that, you have to understand where you stand with Yah. You have to understand where you are in your walk. You have to understand that you should never have pride in any country that represents the things that America does. And this is not about America. This is just about the warning that we all need to take heed to. We need to take heed to the destruction, because there's always warning before destruction. No matter how long that destruction takes for it to come, these are warnings. You should take these as warnings. Whatever you are seeing on your FYP, I've been seeing on my FYP about certain things. And God is very intentional. God is very intentional. I always talk about intentionality. You're going to hear that word. That's my favorite word. That should be my middle name. And I don't even have a last name. That should be my middle name. But my point is, you can't hide your face from what you're seeing. You should not be willing to just disregard these warnings, because this is what happened in the days of Noah. This is what happened back in biblical times when we saw signs, we were given signs, we were given prophetic people, we were told these things, and we just laughed it off, took it for a joke. And now it happens, and then when it happened, it's like, oh, We don't want to admit that these people were right, or the signs that we saw were right. Just like when COVID would happen. I remember when COVID happened, right? And then everybody started to see the things that their conspiracy friends were seeing and saying all of these years. And I saw all these people say, "Dang, we all need to give our conspiracy friends an apology," because people started to see the veil was lifted. People started to see that the government was lying. The government doesn't like to. Oh crap! I gotta beat these words out. Oh my goodness! I said the C word. I don't know if they'll censor my video. Oh man. But my point is, they saw these things for what they were, and people like myself, I had saw these things for years before, and it was just like when they first saw it happening, I was like, okay, this is nothing new to me. I knew this was going to happen. The way it happened, I wasn't ready, but I was still just like, okay, I could deal with this because I knew ahead of time. I understood things that were happening. When I say these things happen, I mean the the truth had came out where we felt like something wasn't right. We saw it for what it was. We saw that there were intents, there were agendas being pushed for people to get poked up. And it was clear as day that they were using probably, celebrities to push that agenda. They were using the CDC, and they were saying all of these different things, trying to convince us to get the poke up. They were selling fries and selling burgers, trying to persuade us with these different things just to get poked up. And we knew that something wasn't right. So that's what I'm saying. And a lot of people started to see the truth in that, and then that changed that whole perspective of how the world really works, and the hidden things that are hiding behind these governments, these deep, well, we call it the deep state, I guess. But it was instances like that help people understand that, oh, they were wrong, and they felt bad for calling their conspiracy friends. I'll use that word lightly because they weren't conspiracies. It was truth. They felt bad for, saying that they were lying, or they just making up stuff, or they're just living in the fantasy world. But it's really unwise, for people to have that knowledge, to pick up on that knowledge, right? To realize that they were wrong, and then something else happens where they have signs that they are given, and they still question certain things to the point where they call it a conspiracy when you've already told yourself and already saw for yourself that a lot of things aren't right. You know what I mean? And what I'm even talking about, these are not conspiracies. These are signs from Yah. These are God-given signs that we are seeing when we're talking about the updates on the earthquakes and the weather and all these different things. These are judgments that God is using to chastise us, to get us in line, to tell you, to show you that He's not joking. He allowed the whole world to be shut down 5 years ago. That's how mighty He is. That's how much power He has. He shut down the whole world. Nobody was moving. Time stood still. And we forget these times where we think that it's just the people controlling the world. It's God. He allowed this to happen. So there are so many things that are going to happen in this country that are going to kick off soon. And we have to be aware. We have to be understanding of the world that we live in. You have to be equipped spiritually and armored up. Put your spiritual armor on and realize that this is a spiritual world. We are living in a spiritual world before a physical one. And we have to be disciplined. We have to be willing to sacrifice the things that we've probably known to be true, but now we know that they're not true. We have to be willing to unlearn a lot of things to learn, to get on that other side, so we could see things for what they are, so we can understand and not be lumped up in certain judgments. There are a lot of judgments that a lot of people are going to be put in. These judgments are according to you individually, you as a unit, however God may see fit for you to be lumped in. Whatever you have been doing behind closed doors, whatever evil is in your heart, plotting for the next person to be destroyed or whatever. There are so many factors that you have to keep your heart pure. And we are in this season where one little thing could mess you up. One thing, wrath, sexual sin, unrepentance, unforgiveness, it will mess you up. It will keep you in this loop of relearning the lesson and relearning everything. And ultimately, if you don't get it, you can be destroyed. So a lot of people will say, well, why hasn't God done this yet? Why hasn't this happened yet? Oh, I heard this prophecy happened. I heard this prophecy years ago. Why hasn't God done anything? They start to mock. They start to say things like this. But you should be thankful that He hasn't done anything. You should be grateful that you have time to repent. You should be grateful to to be able to wake up and say, I have another chance to get this right. But people don't think like that. We are not humble as humans. We're not humble enough to be like, you know what? I may not understand spiritual things like this. I may not understand judgments and how God actually does work. But there seems to be some validity to what these people are saying about God. And I'm not just talking about people that don't believe in God. I'm talking about all people, because there's some people that profess, they say they do believe in a God, but they just don't know what God or the specifics of Christ and all of that, right? But my point, these warnings that you see, these things that you see are so beyond us that we should never take them lightly. There's a reason why we should have a relationship with Christ, because when you have that relationship, you will hear from Him differently. You will have a whole different perspective, right? You will see things and hear things completely different from the average person. You will not just take things lightly. When you become sensitive to the Spirit, you become sensitive to what He is saying, and you feel everything. You feel every emotion behind a sign that you see or a warning that you see. You don't take it lightly. You don't take it lightly at all. And that's all, guys. I just wanted to help you guys understand that there are so many things to God's judgment and the things that are coming to this earth. There are so many things that we should be prepared for. And that's it. That's all. I'm out. I'll be back with another video.